NativeX is ad technology for games. We create native ads that are designed into games so that to focus on increasing performance. And the way it came about was through basically in our laboratory, we discovered that we focused very heavily on data and ad selection and signing on advertisers as is typical with a lot of ad technologies early on. But the more we worked on experimentation, we found that design was this other dimension that people weren't really competing on, and found that that was where we could get the biggest gains in terms of publisher performance. So a native ad in a game is basically any ad format that is designed to fit into the specific placement or the experience. And I think there's some misconceptions out in the market. I think in order to try to differentiate themselves, ad technologies will say they're native and they're just exposing APIs so that developers can build their own native ads. But really that's what separates NativeX from the rest of the companies that are claiming to be in the native space, is we're actually designing these native ad formats, and it's the process of optimization that goes along with it. There's a lot of hype around native ads, but I think it's very well founded. The performance is significantly higher when you get the design right in any kind of content. Of course, this is often in stream. When people talk about native, they're talking about social content or text-based content. But we really sort of try to take those concepts and principles and bring them into games, which really hadn't been done before. I think there's a fine line in native advertising between leveraging dark UX patterns, which can be tricky, and doing things that are right by the users and add to the experience or become part of the content. And I think some of the companies in the space that are doing this well, like outside of games even, you look at I think Aviary, if I'm pronouncing it right, with photography, or some others that are very focused on this. And I think that it's very clear if you look at the data, it's very clear when you're doing something that is not valued by a user. You might see very high click-through rates on an ad, but down the stream you see almost no conversions. So there is the metrics of UX that you can really look at, and if you use that as your guide, you can make sure you're doing the right thing by the users. I think to drive the native ad industry forward, we really need to move more from customization to configuration. And what I mean by that is we can't approach native ads as basically as a custom solution for every publisher. We need to try to apply some optimization within configuration so that we can bring it to, so it can be enjoyed by many more publishers and ultimately many more consumers. And I think that's kind of where we're at. But also we need to get it to enough scale so that it meets the needs of advertisers. I had heard a discussion earlier about the hundreds of billions of impressions still in tiny little banner ads that quite frankly don't perform and aren't effective. But those have just been standardized, and the volume is obviously very high. So it's solving that scale. But I think the way to think about scale native advertising, it isn't just about the number of impressions. It's about how many conversions or how much engagement you can drive. And if you look at it by those metrics, even at smaller impression volumes, we're starting to see pretty considerable scale in native advertising.